Okay, in this video, we're going to start talking about linear functions. And linear functions are really just lines that have been placed into function notation. Lines were already functions. We just didn't use that terminology and we didn't use that notation. So, y equals mx plus b really is the same thing as f of x equals mx plus b, okay? So these really are the same thing. It's just when we're going to switch to the function way of writing things down and the way of thinking, we need to write it this way. So m is still the slope, and this is still the formula. It's still the difference of the y's over the difference of the x's, the rise over the run. B is still the y-intercept. Now the y-intercept still implies that x must be 0, and so the y-intercept is the point 0b, whatever that is. So that's where the line will intersect the y axis, okay? So for the first example I want to show you is f of x equals negative x plus 4, and g of x equals negative 3x plus 2. We want to answer which function has the greater slope. Well, I'm comparing negative 8 and negative 3, and I need to see which one is larger. Negative 3 is larger, and so g of x would have the larger slope. Okay, so that has the greater slope. For the second part, which function has the greater y-intercept? We have 4 and 2, and we want to compare this. Well, 4 is greater than 2, so I would say that f of x would have the greater y-intercept, okay? And we're just kind of comparing functions. There's nothing special about g of x or that notation. It's just we use g of x when we're just talking about another function. So this is just another line. Sometimes we might use h of x as well. For the next example, we want to find the slope of the line that goes to the points 9, 2, and negative 3, 2. Well, I can use the same old formula to find slope that I always have. So I can go 2 minus 2, and kind of see what's going to happen there. Negative 3 minus 9. And it looks like this slope is going to go to 0. So we found the slope is 0, okay? And we know that that's a vertical line. That's a vertical line, and remember that must be the line y equals 2. But we were only asked what is the slope, and the slope is 0. All right, in this next example, we want to find the slope m and the y-intercept b for the function g of w equals negative 5 minus 18w over 5. And to find those, I'm going to have to rewrite this function a little bit. I'm going to do what's called splitting the denominator. So I have a negative 5 over 5 because the denominator is 5. And then the whole function is negative, and we have that 18. So this is going to become positive 18 over 5w. Now we can more clearly see what's going on as far as slope and y-intercept. It looks like the y-intercept would be negative 1, and the slope would be 18/5. So I think that this is going to be b, and this is going to be the slope. So we have 18/5 for slope and negative 1 for the y-intercept. Okay, let's look at another one. Put the function into f of x equals b plus mx. That's kind of what we did in the previous question. So we have f of x equals 30 minus 6x all over 19. And again, I want to break that denominator up. So I have 30 19ths minus 6 19ths x. I want to simplify if that's possible, but I don't think 19 is going to simplify anything since it's a prime number. So I think that would be our final answer, actually. And we've now put it in that form. So we just need to break up the denominator so it's easier to see that y-intercept and slope. Next, we want to find a linear function with the slope of negative 2 and the x-intercept of negative 7. Well, if the slope is negative 2, I can write m equals negative 2, and the x-intercept equals negative 7, so that's like the point negative 7, 0, okay? Well, I can find the line just like I always did. Y equals mx plus b, and I can fill out what do I know. So I know that if I fill out the point, it's negative 7, 0, that y equals 0. The slope must be 2 because they told me, and x would equal negative 7, and I can find what that y-intercept would have to be for this line. Well, that would be 0 equals positive 14 plus b. I can subtract 14 on both sides. Negative 14 equals b. And so now I have all the information about the line. Y equals negative 2x minus 14. And we can now write that in function notation. F of x equals negative 2x minus 14. So there is our final answer. We found the linear function. All right, in the next example, we want to find the function that has f of 150 equals 1052 and f of 800 equals 5602. Okay, so it might not seem like it, but this is really just giving us the point 150, 1052, and 800, 5602. Okay, it's just giving us 2 points, and we're supposed to find the line. So the first step would be to find the slope. So that's 5602 minus 1052 all over 800 minus 150. Okay, I'm going to take my calculator out and see what we get. 5602 minus 1052. Oops. 5602 minus 1052 equals 4550. Okay, and then we just have 800 minus 150. I think that's going to be 650. It is. Okay, let's divide, see what we get. We get 7. Okay, so that's my slope. I have a slope of 7. Now I need to find the y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b can become, I'm going to pick my favorite point. I'll just pick the first one, but I can pick either point that I want to use. So 1052 equals 7 times 150 plus b. Okay, so I want to solve for b. And b must equal, well, it's 1052 minus 7 times 150. And what does that equal? So 7 times 150 is 1050. And it looks like that's 2. Yep, that's 2. So b equals 2. All right, well, I know the slope and I know the y-intercept. So y equals mx plus b can become f of x equals 7x plus 2. And now we found that linear function. Okay, I think we have enough time for the last question here, last example. I have line 1 has the points negative 7, negative 10, and negative 5, 1. And line 2 has the points negative 7, 7, and negative 73, 19. And we want to see, are these parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Okay, so let's see. Let's look at that slope. So for the first line, maybe I'll call it slope 1, that would be 1 minus minus 10 over negative 5 minus minus 7. So that looks like it's 11. And then that would be 2. So I have 11 halves. For the second slope there, I would have 19 minus 7, negative 73 minus minus 7. Well, that's going to be, what, 12? And then that's going to be plus 7. So I have negative 73 plus 7. So that's 7 minus 73. So that would be negative 66. And I think that would reduce. And we could cut that in half. So we have 2 times 6 over negative 6 times 11. And I can cancel the 6. So I have negative 2